Right, so the Health Psychology Self-Experimentation Project. Let's look at the instructions for week one. So I've got over here, okay, that's a student workbook. Yeah, that you can download. All right, so here are the instructions. Right, so what I wanted to do is make sure that there's a range of structured activities that you've got a clear, beginning and end, and then also more independent activities. So the first thing is to do, create a copy of the student workbook as a Google Doc, and that's where you're going to keep all of your work. You can read the blog post about the psychological benefits of sticking to good routines, and that's the blog post that really inspired me to create this activity. And one thing to do in the workbook is to reflect on something you've learned in the IB psychology course, identify one concept, summarize it, and explain how or why you think that might be useful. So some concepts might be things like the working memory or cognitive reappraisal, or even just something general like that behavior could be biological, neuroplasticity, any of those concepts that you think might be relevant. So that's a good way to reflect on the course. Now, the second thing here is to read a summary of the study that looks at the link between sleep and happiness. This is an example of the kind of research that we're doing at the moment, trying to link variables related to our health habits with our psychological well-being. Write a summary of the conclusions in your own words, evaluate the study, and high-level students can complete the questions. Now, again, if we open up the workbook, and I'm going to put all of these instructions on a blog post. In fact, if you're watching this video, you're probably watching it in the blog post I've embedded it in. Okay, so you can see here in the workbook is where you can answer these questions and complete this activity. And then the data collection. Now we get into the experimental part of the project. Now you're going to choose which health habits you want to study. These are going to be your independent variables, and over here is your dependent variables. And what I recommend is in week one studying a range of these things. And also, I would recommend just creating your own questionnaire that is a measurement of your own overall health. And so include some things about each day. You're going to self-assess on how you feel, your mood, your energy, your stress levels, and your sleep. And that can be a measure of your overall health. I think that would be a good way to do it. Or you could just copy one of the existing examples and focus on one specific dependent variable. That could be how you do it as well. If I scroll down to the bottom of the instructions here, this is one example of a data collection example sample. Okay, so and this would just be for sleep. So in week one, I encourage you to do sleep, diet, and nutrition. And sorry, sleep, diet, and that should say exercise, not nutrition, because diet and nutrition are the same thing. Okay, all right. And again, I've got the days of the week along here, and so this would be how I would collect my data on myself. So really, the end of this week, the main thing is that you've created those data tables, and you want to collect data for the minimum of 5 days for that week. All right, so that's an overview of week's one task. There's a bit of work to do there, but you can spread it out over a few lessons.